Late hours, empty airwaves, a spectral signal in the void. Tonight, we answer the unknown caller. Dare you listen in?
We're back. Ladies and gentlemen, checking everything, making sure everything's working, of course. You never know. Yep, it looks like everything's working. Oh, I gotta pull up the Google Voice. And business phone, sign in. There is a lot of crazy stuff going on here lately. As of today, well, there's always crazy stuff going on. I hate starting out that way every show. There's weird stuff going on. There's crazy stuff going on, but there is, guys. I made a post early, and there was a report that the chief of CIA and one of Vatican, they all traveled secretly to Moscow, and that is accurate and true. We got video. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with that, and I would like to discuss that tonight to some degree at least. It appears now there is a news. Well, I don't know if he's really, you can call him a news anchor, but he's more like a political pusher for candidates and stuff like that. And his name is Benny, and he seems to think that there's going to be this massive peace deal being brokered and everything else between Iran and Russia and Ukraine and Taiwan, but I think he's blowing smoke. I don't know why he would be. It just he's got it in his head that, you know, all of this can be easily summed up and that there's going to be some great fix, easy fix to everything. But that is not the case. That is far from the truth. Evidence has pushed that Putin is getting ready to use a nuke on either on Ukraine or indirectly on Poland, or at least and to maybe some other country. And I believe that, you know, they might be arming up Iran, and they know this. And there's some other shady shit going on with that as well, because there is a video there at the Kremlin, and it shows what's his name? I'm going to flip over to the video here. Now, if any kind of weird stuff pops up from this, I'm displaying my screen from X, so, you know, please don't hold it against me. It is real hard to not. There's a lot of silly stuff on X right now. Okay, this is a video of an individual that is in Moscow, and he sees a bunch of U.S. cars and stuff flowing through. I mean, these were on the plane. I mean, literally, like when we travel to Moscow and these other places, we bring our own rides. I don't blame them. I mean, you know,
Машины
you
Министерства.
have to, because you never know who's going to stick a bomb under it. Now, this was a post from NC Prepper. This gentleman, he is one of the more paranoid people that I've encountered over the years, and he watches the nuclear message and stuff like that. And there was been now an unusual nuclear code that was transmitted when they did the Moscow trip. Um, from the visionary, they're talking about immediate. This is the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, returns to Russia. And see, there's supposed to be this grand meeting of uh, like the Pentagon. What's his name? Anyway, there's supposed to be a meeting there, but I don't think that's even going to happen. That's next month sometime. Of course, you can't believe anything that pops out of RT. This guy's another Russian face. But anyway, here's pictures of the C-17s, and these are in Russia. And I mean, this is news in Russia. That's absolute news, and I mean media in Russia. Russia TV is like, yeah, you'll see here in a minute. But it's almost funny. Yeah, here's Russia TV, and like I said, they're upset because they believe that the basically Ratcliffe is America's warhawk, and that if he's coming there, then he's coming there to warn and saying, look, we're about to smack the shit out of you. There's a lot of articles going on right now, a lot of things that are pointing to the fact that we may be entering into World War III. Do I think so? Absolutely. You can put that on a golden ticket and give it to everybody. You can say Paranoid Times. You can say Denny, thanks, we're going to war. I do. We're already at war. It's just starting to filter down, but it's starting to get much worse. The idea, the concepts, everything else is starting to get much worse. People are at each other's throats. People are going to, it's going to get bad. And, anything on this channel, aside from the stories and aside from everything and the tones and whatever else, I wanted you guys to be prepared for the fact that something like this might happen. Now see, this is what Benny said. I'm not going to play it, but this is he's saying that there's the real reason in his info, and he always has some kind of info, and now keep in mind he does have a lot of connections with people within the political realm and stuff like that, but the ones he does have, and while he may get some useful information, it seems like anyone or anybody that is within the media group that has a hook within like somebody of Congress thinks they know what's going on, and they don't know. I mean, Congress is just a bunch of useful idiots as the rest of them, and I mean you can quote me on that. Now where is it? That one of the things that I found extremely interesting was this. Okay. Now, this is the Kremlin. This was on Russian news. This guy, he's the one that you always see. I just like this man with a particular. I don't know how you say it. Anyway, I don't like him. I don't like the way he looks. I don't like the way he talks. I don't like anything about this individual. But he is one of Putin's first-hand men. Okay, now if you're trying to get to Putin, if you're trying to deliver a message to Putin, this is the guy you got to go through. One of them. That being said, at Kremlin, the CIA was there. Everyone else was there, and now he had a special meeting with the Vatican's MP, and I believe it's him right here. And there's a special file. Look here. Okay, here's this. This right here is the one of the Vatican's assistants. Okay, this guy right here. He, you can always tell the way they dress. The black cut suits. You can see the collar. He's not Orthodox. He is absolute Vatican in that little medallion he's got right there. And I got a little case like that as well. But he's pulling out a file. This guy is armed. I mean, he might be a priest, but he is armed to the teeth, and he has to protect what was in that case, regardless. And he gives it to this guy right here. Now, this is one of the head leaders in the Vatican. This is the one that reports to the Pope. This is the one that delivers information for the Pope. Like, if something's going to be said, if something is going to be done, this is one of the guys that would bring it to you. And then this doesn't normally happen. Normally, this guy goes in a room full of a bunch of people and says, look, here's what's going on, and here's what you need to do. They don't go into a room with one person. They don't take an envelope, a metal envelope that's right here, and take it in there. And you see how he has his head down? This is not good. Something absolutely bizarre is going on. They go in the room and they shake hands. There's something. Yeah, this isn't good right here. This isn't good. This isn't about Orthodox. This isn't about the Vatican pushing in and turning Russians Catholics. This isn't good. This is not good right here. I don't know what it's about, but it is bad. And the only one of the only other reasons why the Catholic why they would come, unless it's something really weird, and they always do this to try to stop a war. They always do this to try to prevent some kind of ornery shit to happen. I think Russia is getting ready to attack NATO, and it's going to escalate us to a point where we're going to be in a war we can't get out of. And I just don't know how otherwise to illustrate how bad that is, and how many boxes this checks. Like friggin' prophets and people who claim to saw the future and everything else, and this isn't coming from a dumbass's rant point of view and everything else. This is like, okay, well, if this happens, this is going to be bad. Oh, by the way, guys, the lines are open. If you do want to call, I have no problem. If you want to interrupt me during a rant, you're more than happy to. Like I said, this show is more for you than it is for me. I want to hear from you guys, and I've been consuming information as I go and as I write and as it plays in the background, and I'll see something and it will distract me. And I messed up my sleep cycle today, and I lay down like, okay, I can get a couple hours before the show tonight. And well, when 11:30 come, my phone started ringing, and I was supposed to get an order today. It didn't come, and a friend was supposed to bring some stuff I want from Walmart, and that got messed up. So anyway, I thought I'd get a little sleep, and before I knew it, my phone was ringing. It was 11:30, and I'm like, oh God! My lady was like, "Didn't you go do your show?" I'm like, okay. So I'm running around the house trying to make coffee and everything else, trying to get in here. So if I'm a little off kilter tonight, that's why. That is why I'm still just higher sleepy. But I'm pumping the coffee in. It's not the first time. But like I said, I want you guys to be prepared. You need to be prepared. You need to have some type of idea or system in place if one asshole does something to whatever place you're in. And keep in mind, you know, we do get viewers, and we have a lot of viewers from other countries. When as of last night, there was a gentleman messaged me. He was from Australia, Melbourne. I was tickled to talk to him. But you know, I think for the most part they'll be safe down there for at least for a little while. But yeah, guys, I have a feeling. Mark my words, it is about to get hot, and I know we will be talking about this much more in the coming weeks and months. There's also another little thing that popped up. Trump made a post on X, and he says there's going to be the national what's that called? Where the women dress in swimsuits and stuff, and they
Miss America
yeah,
pageant?
they said there's going to be the Miss America pageant in Moscow, and he said and Trump said if we have the Miss, he said when we have the Miss, now I don't know if we're supposed to or not, but apparently he's planning on it. He says if we have the Miss America pageant in, oh, he said when we have, don't say if, he said when we have the Miss America pageant in Moscow in November, would Putin be my best friend?
Oh, Jesus
I don't know, but there is some crazy shit going on, especially with that secret meeting that just happened.
Better find a damn hole and crawl in it.
I don't know. I think Putin's getting ready to nuke Poland.
Hey, Jill.
It's going to keep having. Sorry guys, I'm doing something real quick.
He's doing something I can't do.
Man, that ain't work. I am refilling a lighter.
Yeah, we don't like doing that.
We try to be a Zippo house. That's something else that's funny. There have been reports, and this has come from Virginia, that Bic lighters, there's actually fake Bic lighters. Why would you go to the extremes to counterfeit a Bic lighter? I mean, is it that bad? I mean, is the the industry, and I mean, how much more money can you make from making a Bic lighter, a fake Bic lighter? I mean, because you're doing all the same stuff, and I mean, there's not a lot. There's not a huge profit margin when it comes to Bic lighters, and if they are doing like profit margin, if they are doing it cheaper somehow than Bic does it, then they're using cheaper stuff, and we probably shouldn't trust those freaking lighters. Um, uh, I remember growing up, and kids playing with lighters and them things blowing up in their hands and stuff. You know, there wasn't good things there. I mean, a lighter itself, under compression, like a Bic lighter or like one of those cheap lighters, it has the equivalent of a half a stick of dynamite. Well, keep that in mind. That's a half a stick of dynamite if it was to go off. And I'm not saying anybody do this. I'm not giving this out as as how to or anything like that. But when we were growing up, we used to take a piece of tape and tape down the lighter piece, light it, take a piece of bubble gum, and stick it to a wall upside down and let them go off. And you can literally blow a hole in the like bricks and things like that. But we were being kids when we was growing up. We used to take tires and drag them out to the middle of the road and light them on fire. And the weird thing about tires is, I'm not talking about ones with air in them. I'm talking about just off the rim type things. Tires get so hot it causes the water in the pavement on the roads to crack and explode, and it sounds like dynamite going on. Anyway, that is where I got on that, and there's some. I pulled some other data. They found it. I don't know if it's in here. If it's on my phone, probably not in here. My phone's in yonder, so we're just gonna have to. We're probably gonna have to wing it until my stuff gets updated. Here we go. I pulled a dossier on the trip, and one of the things that Putin wants is for Ukraine to stand down. That was the other thing. Ukraine knew something was about to happen. They were asked to stand down today and a couple of other days while they made these trips over there to do this. So apparently everybody that was involved knew. And like that's one of the things I never really understood about war. Um, you know, if you're really going to do it, then why are you warning people? I mean, the reason we do it, we send somebody like the CIA or whoever over there, and we go over and say, well, we have evidence that you're getting ready to do some stupid shit. Um, and if you do it, we're going to respond. Um, and maybe they weren't picking up the little red phone, that's been installed. Who knows? Uh, one of the other things, I mean, the Ukraine war is in its fifth year right now. Negotiations have stalled, and there has been Russian-linked sabotage across Europe. You know, I despise and hate the way all of this stuff is like, you know, cut out. In Europe we have Russia doing terrorist acts across Europe, and within Asia and America, within America they do some, not as much anymore as they used to. And then it's on China, and that brings up something else. There was this China State Link group. We've been tracking them. They were using this hacking platform called QScan and QT router. This is big news within the data field, and it's big news at NASA because somehow they were able to get into NASA. China, this is China, by the way. China was able to get into NASA, and they wanted to know what was going on, and they started hacking everything. They started pulling all this data. The group is called QTFY. I mean, yeah, I look at that and I can't help but think of that QTV thing. Where those old ladies sell pocketbooks and perfume and stuff on TV. Is that around? Still around? QTV, QUTV. I don't know. I'm sure I'll find out one day. I'll be not very far from being unable to do much of anything, and you know being at home somewhere watching senior TV, I guess you'd say. Um, but now the confirmed victims, and it's like I said, this happened. There was uh, our investigation groups, feds, everybody. They went in, they found them. They accused China. China is super pissed about this, and it is and they should be. We're going to talk about oddly about Grand Theft Auto here in a minute because there's been some static with that. Well, anyway, and I don't think they're connected with that, but that is definitely interesting, especially the way they pop. But the confirmed victims of this Q scan or whatever was NASA, the Federal Reserve, the actual Justice Department itself, in NHS, NIH, Department of Energy, the U.S. Senate, and unnamed companies within the U.S. There's the one that should bother you a little bit. Unnamed companies within the U.S. and South Korea. Now, it was odd. We got this letter from a company called Dental Scan, and I thought, it was, my son's insurance was like, okay, you need to go get, you know, your kid a dental checkup or something. We get those things, but she opened it, and inside it was this thing telling us that my son's data had been hacked and taken and used for various whatever, and they were offering, um, you know, tracking and protection and stuff like that. And I, but they don't offer any recourse. And this was like the third, maybe fourth time that my kid's data has been compromised. Normally in an adult situation, they offer you some, financial compensation. So I guess you don't get pissed off and do whatever. But there needs to be a better network of compensation, because you don't have these somebody is not doing their job. If all of these people can, get other people's data, they're not securing the networks the way they should. They're not locking down things as they say they're going to. And we're talking about government organizations here. If they have that ability to get into systems like that, as I said, I think we are at war. But if we're in a more physical, kinetic war, and they have the ability to get into our systems like that, that sounds bad. I don't know. But for some reason, this group was uh, uh, Black Lotus Labs. They had been tracking operation for a while, and they described that they were targeting and concealing services and other link hacking crews, and they were doing this somehow, hiding it behind people. And this isn't a isolated incident. It sits in the same lineage as the 2023 Bolt Typhon disruption, and basically what that was, the U.S. power and water system got hacked, which got hacked again, which is fucking scary. And there was also the other thing that happened in 2024, which was the telecom infiltration campaign, where they tried to get into phones that belonged to Trump and Vance during the presidential election. They really want to see what they were talking about. They really want to see what they were doing, and there's evidence there that they might have done that. You know, the spy network is very sophisticated, and just like ours is very sophisticated. But it seems like we would know about all the loopholes, we would know about all the problems, we would know about everything that was going on, so we can address these things and deal with them. Anyway, they increased the FBI office increased their cyber campaign and Cyber Protections Act, so they can try to protect against this stuff. But it doesn't seem that there is anything going on. Now the Chinese embassy did not and does not respond to any comments about this for some fucking reason. It's like they just want them to know that they're in our systems like little worms, and this is something that will have to be addressed and taken care of. And this is a component of power that China has, and they're going to lose, and they're going to be upset about, because they're entitled. Now we all know oil and Strait of Hormuz and Iran and all that shit is nasty, everything going on, but there's not much we can do about it. If we allow a country to Well, one, I think you should be able. I mean, we're a capitalist nation, so you should be able to charge what you want to charge within a reasonable amount. But you should not be able to use it as blackmail, and you should not use it to a point where you can, you know. Of course, we've used it as blackmail too. So I don't know. You know, I'm saying it from an American standpoint. You know, like okay, this is you know this is what's best for us. But you know, I'm sure somebody in Iran and somebody in Israel and somebody in Russia would say, well, no, this is the way it should be because this is what's best for us. You know, I get that. Um, but I don't think we should knock out a whole civilization. And, you know, we have hit them so hard that I, in fact, believe they are part of whatever is going on with Russia right now. And, you know, either Russia is going to launch weapons against somebody. You know, like I said, the only thing that from that region, there's only two things that could possibly happen. One, Russia launches a nuclear weapon against Israel. Okay. Or two, Iran does in fact have the technology or capabilities to and a working nuclear weapon and will launch an attack against Israel. And if we see that, then that's going to be bad. We know that Putin is to the point where he has to do something. He has to make a decision. You know, either give up, and we all know that he's not going to do that, or he's got to make Ukraine give up. And I think that he is going to either one, nuke Ukraine, which is something he doesn't want to do because if he nukes Ukraine, then he creates more people that will hate him and the country, and it will be harder for them to work and utilize Ukraine. One of the things they wanted to use in Ukraine was the actual people, because Ukraine was the ones that were building their targeting systems and their guidance systems for their missiles and things. And for some reason, Russia don't know how to do that, which is I find is absolutely bizarre. You know, it seems like you would have made if that was a weakness or whatever, you would have gotten figured out how to do that kind of technologies and figured out how to work on those old systems and had people in there from that era. Um, there's so much mismanagement when it comes to the Soviets. You know, and I guess that's a good thing because if they're so scatterbrained, you know, if they weren't as scatterbrained as they were and wasn't fragmented as they were, man, they would have really been a force to reckon with. You know, you get when you're like this and you have a big country and things are going well for you, you get inflated ego, and that's what he has. We have an inflated ego as well, which is bad. And you know, history has taught us if you have an inflated ego, then some bad shit's gonna happen to us. Just like Caesar, it don't turn out well. It's always bad for the people. You know, the people were sent off to war. The people were made to starve. You know, give up what they eat to for the greater good. And always the greater good is something that somebody else wants that you don't. You know, I know it would suck to be without oil, but we could do it. You know, if we have to be without power, sure, it would suck, but we could do it. You know, I know that's not a thing that people want to hear. You know, we have gotten to the point where we're so addicted to cell phones and things like that that we're like, oh no, we can't do that. Absolutely cannot do that. But you can do that if that has to happen that way. You know, and I'm telling you from, you know, my prepper mentality that if something does happen, don't fall into some kind of wild depression that everything's hopeless and all is lost, because it isn't. Things will eventually get better again, and maybe they can work out these things. Um, but there is a good possibility they're going to. I think there will be that there could there's let's say it this way, there's a 50% chance. Can I buy? No, you cannot buy pot from me. Why would I sell you pot, dude? What's up with that? Where did that come from? Where did you pull um that idea from? Um, I mean, yeah, I guess you could go to the dispensary, I mean, or go to your local dealer or whatever. Oh, by the way, it seems now that since things are picking up, but into what relation though? I mean, like, um, there's a lot of Family Guy quotes. Um, oh, okay, okay, okay. I told you guys to forgive me. My brain is locked. I'm half asleep. Um, now you got me sideways. I had to figure out what's going on. I'm like trying to figure out. Okay, what was this dude asking me? Can I buy pot from you? Yeah. Uh, like I gotta. Hell, I have to look it up. I can't remember what the thing is. But yeah, it sucks. It all sucks. And I hope you guys somehow, some way, has gotten you know at least some degree of supplies and I mean, I'm going to admit to you, I do not. I'm sitting here painting the kettle black. I am painting the kettle black. Telling people they need to prepare and prep, and I am not prepared. I mean, I don't have a younger me was supposed to have things worked out, things figured out, and that seems to be the case. When you're growing up and you're worried about this stuff or you think about this stuff, you say, "Well, I'm going to do this," but I always put it off, and I did, and I have, and I mean, I don't have um, a thing full of dry food and stuff if I needed it, and if I were to go get it now, it's going to cost me 10 times more than it used to. I mean, we were supposed to have you know, stacks and upon stacks of MREs and things like that. But, we don't anymore. And, um, that either they got used or they went bad or we, you know, just thought it was, a nothing burger. And, and now we're circling back around and we're thinking, okay, well, is the likelihood of something like this to happen, you know, how positioned are we to survive something like that? And the reality of the matter is, I'll probably still be making videos. Which I had no problem doing. If I could get them out there, I'm making videos. Um, that kind of stuff I do have. I have a bunch of, like, USB media, and I have, believe it or not, I have a ton of recordable, like CDs and stuff like that I can, you know, put data on and pass them out if I need to. Um, and I mean, I have the capability to like, set up my own like grid and network and stuff like that. And that was the other thing too. Um, we were supposed to, and there was a large group of people like within this channel, and I'd worked on other things, but basically within this channel, there was supposed to be a lot of people that, kind of put together like a simple ham radio station, for everybody. And I have my ham gear, but I mean, I don't have my power backups. But we were all supposed to have this like thing where we could, if something did happen, we could kind of like reach out and talk to each other. Well, life happens. Some of those older guys passed away, and other things. That network is broken and fragmented. And if something did happen, and I wanted to reach out and talk to people, then it may not happen. It may not, I may not be able to do that because, hopefully someone else down the line has some ham radio gear they know how to use, and they have some analog to digital gear they know how to use, and we can spread information and keep stuff going if the United States does get nuked. Well, I mean, I can assure you, there's not a lot of people that have gear that can be protected from a nuclear strike. Nah, he was joking. I think he was joking. Well, anywhere there's plenty of animals, there's going to be plenty of people. Um, not at first, but eventually. You know, once stuff starts running out where people are, then those people are going to migrate to where there is stuff is. And then people who have cabins and people who have places like that are going to have to worry and yeah, it's a joke. 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 He's he's just messing. He caught me off guard. Um, it's cool. Ain't no weird shit there. It's cool. Um, but yeah, anyone that has like a cabin or place out in the woods and whatever else, eventually it's going to get people's going to get it go out there, and that is why I mean here where I live at, we got some pretty remote places, and we actually did a survey, and when I was this is back when I was younger. When we were going across the United States and stuff. There's a couple of questions that I was curious about, and this was kind of similar to one of them. And if because I was writing a book and I was hoping to put together a movie, and I wanted to see what people would do, what they would really do, not what we would not what the writer thinks they would do, but what would you do if this happened. And like one of the questions that I would ask people would be like, okay, let's say you're running out of food, where would you go? And they always said they would go, like to national parks. They would go to, where they know there's people's cabins. They would look at old maps. They would, you know, go within the woods. And eventually, people looking for food will track down water and food. And so, even if you have a remote place, you always got to think that I will eventually get company. Um, and having a community, having a like, you'll hear all these preppers and stuff online say, well, you need a community of people to make it work and to make it to make it happen. Um, well, No, you don't. You know, the more people you have there, sure, you can make light work of stuff, but that's the more mouths you have to feed. You know, that's the more leaks in the system. Um, Communities in a survival situation usually fail within 3 to 6 months. So, you know, if you're in a situation and something happens and you get into a community, you know, let's say you have no choice. You and your family have no choice and you're in a community. Keep it in the back of your mind that that community is probably going to fail within 3 to 6 months. Something's going to happen. Either one person is going to get a whole bunch of other people sick, or they're going to run out of food, or they're going to make other people do things that they don't want them to do. You're always going to have the worst of human nature come out and make people do things. 1 to 2 people is fine, but stay away from communities. Stay away from large groups of people. You know, the only time you should be around large groups of people is if you're trading and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, you guys should know all this stuff. I mean, if you've been on the internet long enough, you've heard some dumbass talk about the ins and outs of preparedness and everything else. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is absolutely true. I mean, we ran the numbers and like I said, when you make a movie, when you like, believe it or not, you know, some of us when we do actually, you know, sit down to write a story, or we go at we write a script or we write a movie, and you know I've done it a lot. You know, we just don't throw a bunch of shit at the wall and hope it sticks. We try to make it, you know, as real as possible. Will this resolve? Will this happen? So, you know, we go around and we ask people like, what would you do? And then we run the models, and then you know we talk to people and try to figure out. And you know, this is what we really summed up. And then you know, you see it. I mean, like I said, I was a first responder for Katrina. I saw the way society fell down, and no help come, because no help is going to come. You're gonna have people there that are like, okay, well, help is coming, help is coming, help is coming, and help is not coming. Um, and it can and stuff can happen at any point in time. Just was it yesterday? There was this massive avalanche that turned into a flood in China. It took out 127 people. There's video online that shows this massive wall of water and ice just destroying a city. I'm gonna see if I can find the video. You guys need to see it. Um, let's see. It's somewhere. I watched it. I know it. Okay. Yeah, China flood. That's the other thing. You know, we have a lot of countries that were trying to. I guess they were trying to do good things. They were trying to, you know, make things better for their citizens and stuff. But just like the United States, China wants to play God. They want to alter things, and well, bad things start to happen. Now I'm going to switch over screen again and try to do this. I thought there was sound, but anyway, this is in the pail. You see how all the birds are going? How all the birds are moving? You know something shady and shitty's getting ready to happen. You know, always watch the birds. Here it comes. Good God. See, I think they said there's like 127 people that are missing. Um, I think they said like 30 of them, 40 of them is American. But yeah, this is wild. Like I said, this just happened. Um,
ôi 썰 걷어버리겠구나 ôi ôi
can you imagine
ôi 진짜 니가 진짜
being like down here and like saying, okay, this is some horrible shit.
마디야 마디
No. Dude, he's running, he's going. He's not going to make it.
우와
He's not going, this guy.
와 마디 ôi ôi ruột mà bùi gần madia ôi chị nó bạn ơi cái bóng nó bài cái nó bùi không được ôi 미신의 로디야 ôi tay một so bỏ chết ôi cho mang cái ba trong cũng được ôi
Yeah, that's just crazy. That's just crazy to me. Now, of course, if you live on like a river area and stuff like that,
那人怎么可能？哎呀，
eventually something weird's going to happen. I haven't seen this one, so I have no idea what's getting ready to happen here. But these people are running, so they know something's up. This guy's not, though. He's like just walking around. Now they're running. Okay. Oh, they're running that way. I was figuring it was going to come from down up here, but it's going to come from over here. Yeah. Like, anyone that's in that building dead. Like, I mean, it's gone. Just gone. But anyway, that brings us back to the point that as we don't, war, weapons, everything like that, forces of nature, we can't, predict them. You have one guy that has access to a button. He can press it and make some bad stuff happen, and there we are. And I mean, was this thing that happened in China natural? Maybe. Could it have been man-made? Could it been a disaster? I mean, I've always speculated that. Yeah. And there's other videos. There's worse videos. I mean, those are like select ones that I thought, okay, well, it would be okay to play, but there are a lot worse ones. But you always wonder, is like, then another country, okay, China got caught for hacking in the United States, and all of a sudden this happens. What was, and other stuff is starting to happen out there too. So are we doing this? Are we causing these environmental things? I'm not saying we are. I'm just saying it's awful peculiar. I think back to when, somewhere toward the beginning, around the middle, I think it was the middle of the Ukraine war, Turkey wanted our F-27s, I think it was, and they said we're going to get those, and we're going to get these Russian things. And we said, no, you can't have these Russian things. And they got all mad about it. And I said, okay, we're just going to work with the Russians. And then all of a sudden, Turkey had this massive earthquake. It destroyed a couple of cities and everything else. And the next thing you knew, Turkey was coming back to the, asking the United States for help, and they were coming back to the negotiating table. You can find a correlation with things like that. You can find a correlation with natural events, people, behavior, things like that, and governments and war. And I'm sure we have the ability to control and do stuff like this. But anyway, guys, I wanted to jump on real quick and talk about that. I've been on for about an hour. Don't look like we're getting any calls tonight. It's not a big deal. Like I said, I'd only planned to be on for an hour or two. I will be on tomorrow, and if you want to call in, please do. I want to hear from you. That's what this show's about. Not me rambling. I want to hear you ramble. The real worry of life is the things that never cost more to know. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that is real worrying. And I mean, we're stuck in a weird view of society where people are more worried about what's on their, like, the dumb shit that's on their computer screen and stuff like that. We're not worried about the things that are going on. Or, I mean, that's the reason why I don't get like involved in stuff like The Bachelor and Survivor Island and things like that, because I mean, I haven't watched TV. I haven't watched a TV show in probably 5 years now. I mean, and normally I used to. I like old TV and stuff like that, but TV shows are distracting from your reality and your world and everything else, and they consume a lot of time. And if you're doing what I'm doing here, and you're writing between 2 and 3 stories a day, and you're also working on a book, and you're trying to raise a kid, and you're trying to put out videos like this at night, and trying to gain a following of and bring back people to this radio world. It takes up a lot of time. But anyway, guys, come back tonight. I mean, well, I guess it would be tonight. Yeah, come back tonight. I'll see you guys tonight if you come back. If you guys want to call in, like I said, the number's open. If you want to leave me a voicemail, I'll play it. I guess I should see if there's any voicemails. If you want to leave me a voicemail, call and leave a voicemail. And I don't have one up here. But call and leave me a voicemail, and I will play it online. Or wait for the show to be on and call me. Whenever this is up, it's normally live. Peace out.